Mucklick here, and I don't like game reviews that take 20 minutes to give 5 minutes of information. This is Split Fiction, a 2-player action-adventure video game. It is available on PC, PS5, and Xbox XS, and is rated T for teen. The goal of this review is to determine whether or not this game is worth its time and price tag for you. For every 2 players, you need only 1 copy of the game. Both players can play locally, sharing a device, or can play online, where one installs a friend pass and joins the game of the other. The game's setting with no spoilers beyond the tutorial. The game follows the story of 2 unpublished writers, Mio and Zoe, who are invited to a unique publishing deal. They and other writers are to step into a fancy machine that scans their minds and displays the stories they imagine in a way that they can touch and feel them, like creating your own virtual reality game at the speed of thought, a new generation of storytelling. At the last second, Mio panics and wants out. Raider, the owner of the company, insists she gets back in, that the process cannot be stopped now, but she refuses and tensions build. And after a brief scuffle, she ends up accidentally falling into Zoe's machine, where Zoe is already hooked in. The machines were not designed for 2 people in a single pod, and begins reading both of their minds, one that writes sci-fi and another that writes fantasy. What follows is a roller coaster ride back and forth through both genres as the 2 women try to escape and simultaneously find out more about what Raider's company is planning. The general gameplay. After the intro cinematic, each player chooses one of the 2 characters and you are thrown into the story. For the most part, you have the ability to jump, sometimes double jump, dash, and most of the time you have a grappling hook. Depending on the story you are currently in, each of you will have an ability required to progress, such as weapons that counter different enemies, or shapeshifts for solving various puzzles. You'll have to work together with the skills you are given in order to progress through each area. On occasion, you will also find what the game calls side stories, essentially a portal to another story that is not required for the main one that the machine found in their minds. Sometimes it is something the writers recently wrote. Other times, it's something they wrote as a child and it barely makes any sense. I highly recommend doing every one of these that you can find, as they are extremely memorable and always a completely new experience. The game itself also changes camera angles at times, giving a different feel to it. Sometimes it's third person, sometimes an ARPG, sometimes a side-scroller, sometimes a top-down camera, sometimes you're dodging barrels like Donkey Kong, and others you're racing, and other times still it's Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Every one of these mini worlds you pass through is a different story they wrote in the past and has a different set of rules. Learn what tools you have in each world and use them to progress to the end of the story and try to escape the machine, and sometimes face down things the machine brings to life from your imagination that you never intended to let out. How much playtime can you expect for this game? Split Fiction took us about 13 hours of gameplay for the first playthrough, and we did every side story we could find. I don't think the average gamer would find a lot of replayability in it, as the game itself is about its incredible storytelling, and once you've played it, you will know the story. Comparisons to other games. The first comparison would be It Takes Two, the previous game from the same developer, also featuring a split-screen story where each player plays a character and has different abilities and different levels that you must use together to progress. On top of that, there are many levels and areas that feel inspired by dozens of individual games. As touched on earlier, some levels are side-scrollers, some are top-down, some are action RPG style like Diablo, some are like children's games when you play the stories they thought up as children, some are driving simulators, flight sims, snowboarding, and many more. There wasn't a level we did where I didn't look and go, oh my god, that thing there is inspired by blank. The details, graphics, and sound. The graphics for the game start off aiming for near realism, but this gets more and more fantastical the deeper into the fantasy worlds you go. Some are dark and grim, others bright and fantastical. The sounds were on point, with the SFX of your abilities being extremely satisfying and reliable, and the background music doing an excellent job of immersing you in the moment. Controls. Split Fiction can be played with a controller or with mouse and keyboard. I played it on a mouse and keyboard and had no issues. The game does allow rebinding of controls if there is something you dislike. Saving system. The game auto-saves at checkpoints every few minutes and has no manual saving. When you return to it, you can choose to continue from where you left off. Content creator concerns. None. I streamed my entire playthrough on Twitch and YouTube and uploaded the entire thing to our Mucklick Plays YouTube channel and did not experience any muted VODs or have any issues with copyright claims. Do I have anything negative to say? Usually at this point, I list off bugs, problems I hit, bad controls, things like that, but we experienced nothing like that during our playthrough of this game. It was entirely glitch-free glitch-free. Well, the game is about glitches, but you know. The controls were satisfying, and the story was solid. Neither me or my son, who played it with me, had any issues. Final thoughts. Split Fiction was an incredible, unique experience for us. Like playing through an action-packed movie with nice twists in the story at many moments. It is one of those games where you can play it once and remember it for years to come, and it would not surprise me if it is a contender for Game of the Year. Though with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 competing for that as well, we'll see. Considering the bug-free experience, amazing storytelling, smooth gameplay, and the fact that one purchase provides this experience for 2 gamers and not just one, I feel after playing it that Split Fiction was absolutely worth it. But what do you think? Hopefully now you have enough information to decide if Split Fiction sounds right for you. This video is not sponsored, so if you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that like button to help us out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe for more content. If you'd like to see more of my own playthrough of Split Fiction, I'll include a link to that playlist from our other channel down below. Subscribe there too. As always, a massive thank you to our dear patrons who make content like this possible. If you'd like to become a supporter and earn early access, there's a link to that in the description. Happy gaming.